Welcome to the WiseTake DFS podcast, sponsored by the very best in the DFS industry, Daily Roto Sharks. If you want to be prepared for your DFS slates every night, you need to join the Sheet Squad movement. Check it out now at dailyrotosharks.com. I am your host, CK013. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. I am joined by Fuego Steve, also known as Steve Hillman. You can find him on Twitter at Fuego_Steve. And we're also joined by first-time appearance on the podcast, a fellow Daily Roto Sharks contributor, Bill, a.k.a. the CubbableHooser. You can find him on Twitter at CubbableHooser. Fuego, how are you doing? Bill, welcome to the show, and how are you doing today?
Good, thanks for having me.
Doing well. Great to have Bill here. He's knows his stuff. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome, man. Good stuff. And you guys already know Fuego. He's been coming on. He's one of the WiseTake podcast originals. You know Fuego. He writes the value articles over at Daily Roto Sharks. And CubbableHooser, why don't you tell us what you do for Daily Roto Sharks?
Daily Roto Sharks, I did their NBA game-by-game breakdown. So if you guys caught that, you'd see about what I've done there. But MLB, I've taken on. I'm a huge BVP believer. So I write their daily BVP article and get a little more in depth in that. Each day as I go on, basically I'm Ben and CG's right-hand man. I've been there since day one, since it started up, since they went live with everything.
That's awesome. That's definitely good stuff. We're definitely glad to be part of the team. It's a really awesome team you guys got there. The whole Sheet Squad thing with the cheat sheets and the amount of work that all of the writers and contributors do, and they invest all their time into that. They could just be investing it to help themselves win money. Instead, they choose to try to help you guys win some. So it's a pretty cool thing. Anyways, we had a rough. It was rough for the Dong Watch yesterday. A lot of the top stacks that we talked about yesterday didn't really come through. It was strange. Even some of the pitchers, like Velasquez was a guy that I liked a lot. Velasquez is a guy that I liked a lot in tournaments yesterday. He didn't really come through. But Matt finally did get on the board on the Dong Watch. Fuego, I know you're in a little bit of a sweat right now. You got a little friendly wager with Matt. I know it's Jesse Chavez for you and Shelby for him. It's not looking too good for Chavez, man. How you making out?
It's all good, man. I'm as discussed previously, I'm still in basketball mode. I'm barely even paying attention. I saw earlier that Chavez gave up a couple runs early, and I'm like, oh, this probably is not going to be good. And started my after hours basketball sweat. So I'll change my avatar, whatever he wants. So I'll get him on the next one.
Yeah, exactly. Get him on the next one. Luckily for you, I think Matt's a nice guy. So if there was anybody that you were going to lose that kind of bet to let him pick your avatar, I think you lost to the right guy.
Yeah, I'm. Let's hope so.
Yeah. Let's hope so. So, Bill, are you ready to break down these games with us?
Oh, yeah, let's do this.
All right. First off, we got Phil Hughes of the Minnesota Twins visiting Jordan Zimmermann of the Detroit Tigers. 1:10 p.m. Eastern start time, about 55 degrees forecasted now, 5% chance of precipitation, 60% humidity. Phil Hughes, we know he walks a little bit more to lefties, but he gives up career-wise, but he does give up more home runs to righties. His hard contact rate last year finished at about 37.7%. I think he only had one start so far this year. It's about 40%, so he's continuing a similar trend. One thing I do want to point out, his velocity has dropped from 90.4 down to 89.5. So that's pretty significant. And also his changeup. Last year, he really didn't throw a changeup much. This year, in his first start, he threw it about 27% of the time. So I wonder if his changeup if maybe he's trying to mask some of his velocity problems by throwing more off-speed pitches. Fuego, why don't you start? Fuego, why don't you start us off with Phil Hughes? Matter of fact, tell us about this whole game. Zimmermann too. What are we doing here?
Sure. I'm not touching Phil Hughes. I like the Detroit bats quite a bit in this spot. As for Jordan Zimmermann, I'm probably not going to go there either, though he's in a better spot than Hughes, in my opinion. But the people I really like are the batters for Detroit going against Hughes. on FanDuel, they're all still reasonably priced. I think I like Nick Castellanos the best at third base at only 2,900. He's got a big WOBA difference. I'm going back to my boy Cabrera, Kinsler, Victor Martinez. I'm going to have a bunch of Detroit stacks if I'm playing the early slate for sure.
Mm-hmm. And Bill, what about you? What are you thinking on this game?
First, I'll just go ahead and say Hughes is garbage. It doesn't matter what he throws; it's just trash. I will be attacking him heavy. I'm on most of the same plays: Castellanos, Miguel, McCann. I'll even throw Collins in there as well.
Yeah.
I think with his left-handed bat, it'd be a good one. To build off a little bit what you're saying about Hughes' struggles, in a park that he's never been the feature pitcher for, it's the most home runs he's ever given up in Comerica Park, and he also owns a 5.5 career ERA in April. So he tends to struggle early in the season, and I like for them to jump on him early and often and get him out of the game fast.
Yeah, I like it. I think that's a really good analysis. One thing I will point out on the I wouldn't sleep on the Twins. I'm looking at Jordan Zimmerman's numbers. We know he walks a lot more lefties. He has a higher whip overall against lefties. And now 2016, his hard contact rate, he finished with about 27.5%. I know it's still early. It's a small sample size. But in 2017, right now it's 55.6%. So he's getting rocked for whatever reason. Even after that first start, it looks like his batting average balls in play is about 222, and his left on base percentage is 83.3. So not only did he have a rough start as far as contact, but he even got a little bit lucky in that matchup. So I wouldn't sleep. He's not a big strikeout guy, despite him having a couple games last year with strong strikeout upside. I like Max Kepler, Mauer, Jason Castro. Castro, we'll see if he plays. It's a day game after a night game. But as a matter of fact, I think it was a day game also, right? Because they're in Detroit. So I like all the lefties against Zimmerman. Is basically what I'm trying to say. You guys got anything to add, or should we move on to the next game?
I definitely like Grossman, Castro, and then with him being a fly ball pitcher, I really like Dozier to potentially get a hold of one. He slugs 500 versus fly ball pitchers in his career.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah. I like a lot of the Minnesota guys, especially as one-offs for sure. Like, I'm not sure I would stack them all, but I agree. Dozier, I would even roll Sano, any of them as one-offs. Grossman as well, Kepler. There you go.
Yeah, okay, for sure. You guys ready to move on?
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we got Chad Cole of the Pittsburgh Pirates visiting Eduardo Rodriguez, the lefty from the Boston Red Sox. About 62 degrees expected, 48% humidity, no real threat of rain. Chad Cole currently holds a 0% soft contact rate in the early goings of 2017. In 2016, he finished with about 6.75 K per nine. His walks were a little high, though, at 2.55 walks per nine. Pretty much throws a fastball and a slider. And as of right now, he's getting hit pretty hard. Bill, we're going to start with you this time. What are we doing in this game?
Second here, let me pull this up here.
Sure.
This game is one I don't particularly look for a ton of offense. Pittsburgh struggled lately. So I kind of have a soft spot for Rodriguez early on. I think he could be a low-owned potential with the slate being early on with having Darvish on there. So the Boston bats are the ones that really intrigue me the most. Like I said, he's been getting hit hard. And Bradley Betts, Leone, Benintendi, they all have some solid numbers against this type of pitching, slugging over 500.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
What you got, Fuego?
Yeah, so we've just hit both of my stacks now. I'm sure they're going to be high owned, but Boston, I believe, has the highest implied run total on the slate, on the early slate. And looking at my models, it's like, so my top 20 hitters are basically Boston, Detroit, Boston, Detroit, 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 Boston, Boston. So Boston and Detroit, stack them up, load them up, and they will be highly owned, but it's a short slate, so you can probably make all kinds of different combinations there. We mentioned Tyler Collins is one on Detroit. You got Benintendi, Pedroia. You can get all kinds of different combinations with the Boston and Detroit batters. And for the pitchers, I don't mind Rodriguez. I definitely Cole, no way. I'm loading up against him. But Rodriguez, I wouldn't mind. We'll talk about a couple that, I mean, it's a 4-game slate with only 8 teams. So you're going to have to pick a pitcher. We're going to talk about Darvish, who's expensive, who's the best, I believe. But I wouldn't mind rolling out Rodriguez.
Yeah, I mean,
he's got one of the higher K rates on the slate.
He definitely does. I'm looking at 2016. He finished with an 8.41 K per 9 inning. But however, he walks a lot of people. 3.6 walks per 9 inning. That's a lot. And he's also very susceptible to the home run ball. About 1.35 home runs per 9 inning. He's an extreme fly ball pitcher. Only finished with 31.6% of a ground ball rate. Now, one thing I will say for him is last year his hard contact rate was kind of down, and his soft contact rate wasn't so bad. But so far this season, granted it's early, we're talking about 1 start or maybe 2 starts for him. I'm not positive. But either way, his hard hit rate is about 58%. So he's getting hit hard, and he throws a lot of fastballs. My main issue with him here is that the Pirates are predominantly right-handed. I'm looking right now at the projected lineups, and literally I see 2 lefties in the entire lineup. So that does worry me a bit with Rodriguez, especially in this park. It's going to be a little bit nicer weather, so we could see, I mean, it's not great hitting weather, but we know that the weather is going to be better than it has been, and this is a hitter's ballpark. So to be honest with you, I think I actually might call me crazy, but I might like the Pirates bats more than I actually like the Red Sox bats in this matchup. What do you guys think about that?
I do like one Pirate bat, and that's McCutchen.
Mm-hmm.
He does hit fly ball hitters pretty well, and he has a pretty elite matchup, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Against Rodriguez.
I definitely like some of these guys. My boy Cervelli, is he going to play? Yeah, he should play again. I like McCutchen, and I think they could be a contrarian stack, like you said. I don't mind a lot of these guys. Who else is the guy I liked before? Hold on one second. David Freese at 2,500 on FanDuel. If he's batting 5th in that order, stack up Freese and Cervelli. You can save yourself some cash batting 5th, 6th. Even Harrison batting 7th would be a way you could be a little contrarian. But I like the big names too. Marte, McCutchen, for sure.
Okay. Bill, you got anything to add, or should we move on?
Polanco gets the start. I like Polanco just slightly better than McCutchen. I know it's a lefty-lefty matchup, so that'll make him a little bit more contrarian than the left-right matchup, especially if people are stacking up with Boxton. He does slug pretty well there, and based off things I'm finding, I find him up there in the plays.
I definitely think it's an interesting tournament play for sure, mainly because I'm a little concerned. As I mentioned, I actually like the Pirates in the spot, so I'm a little concerned with Eduardo, how long he's going to last in this game. I mentioned last year he had a 3.36 walk per night. That's pretty high as far as walks go. So this guy walks a lot of people. He's seeing a lot of righties. I wouldn't be surprised if the Pirates were to get to, and that's exactly why I don't think you can put Polanco in cash. But in tournaments, I think you're onto something there. I think it's a very interesting play. I think people, they're going to be all over all the righties here, like I mentioned. But Polanco is right in the middle of that order, and I think everybody's going to kind of skip over him when there's a good chance that we could see the Red Sox bullpen fairly early if the Pirates get to him. I think that's a good point. You guys want to move on?
Yep.
I'm good to move on.
All right, we got Hyunjin Ryu, the lefty of the Dodgers, who hasn't had a full season since 2015, although it was nice to see him have his first start, going up against the former Dodger lefty Brett Anderson. About 55 degrees over at Wrigley. We're still waiting on a projected run total. Obviously, they usually wait until the wind comes out, I believe, is what either Matt or Fuego, one of you guys told me that. And 50% chance of rain, humidity about 80%. We're going to have to pay attention to the winds here, although I don't know how big of a factor that really is. One thing I will say, we mentioned that Ryu is not a guy who typically gave up too many home runs. He's got decent K upside. I think the concern for everybody is he is coming back from a 2-year injury. How long is he going to play? On the other side with Brett Anderson, he's not a big K guy, and his velocity is actually down from 91.3 to 89.4. That's a pretty significant drop. Fuego. Oh, Fuego's gone.
I'm here.
Okay, you're here. Okay, Fuego, you want to start us off with the Dodgers and Cubs? What are we doing here?
Yeah, call me crazy, but I kind of like Ryu for the Dodgers. If you're not rolling out Darvish on this early slate, which I probably will, we're going to talk about in a minute, but, he's 10-4. Then you drop off. We talked a little bit about Zimmerman and Rodriguez, but I kind of like him. Lefty going against Chicago. The batters, I like Chicago also going against him, so I might do a little hedging with maybe a lineup with him and then maybe with some Chicago bats going against him, at least the righties for sure. And for the Dodger side, I would probably attack Anderson, with Forsythe, Yasiel Puig, the righties for the Dodgers. I would go after Anderson.
Okay. Bill, what you got to add on this?
Being a Cubs fan, the Cubs definitely can make anybody look good striking out a lot, but the injury does concern me some. So I probably won't have any Ryu. Anderson intrigues me a little bit as maybe a large field punt. The Dodgers just struggle versus left-handers. I mean, Clayton Richards, he shut him down and looked like an ace versus them in Los Angeles. So there's potential for them to struggle. They do have the ones and twos right-handed bats like Puig and Forsythe. The wind will really dictate what'll happen, because if it's blowing out towards Waveland, one of those two streets out there, I mean, a routine fly ball can go out of the park like nothing. I've saw it many times. I like the Cubs right-handed bats, Contreras, Bryant, Almora. I'm staying away from Rizzo right now until I start to see him actually make some solid contact. He's actually started off real rough this year. It's been kind of disappointing. Grandal's my favorites for the Dodgers. He's been playing well. I mean, he's getting on base. He's hitting it pretty hard. I mean, he's already got a 2-home-run game to his name. He does have a little less power coming from the right-hand side, but his contact's pretty solid. So overall, I mean, I might have ones and twos from this game unless the wind's something crazy like 15 miles per hour.
Yeah, I can understand that. I always fall for this kind of trap because obviously the Cubs are a good team. The Dodgers are supposed to be a good team. I always fall for these traps in these kind of ballpark situations, and I end up taking a lot of bets that I probably should. Ryu's price is very cheap, which is slightly interesting going up against the Cubs. And Brett Anderson's even a little bit interesting. My concern here is, I've said it before on the pod, and I have not been right about it yet, but my concern here is the Dodgers knew they couldn't let that into pitching. They went out and got people, mainly Forsythe and Franklin Gutierrez, specifically to hit these lefties. So I know they're not doing it yet, but eventually they're going to. So I do have a little bit of concern. It's weird. I don't really like the hitters. I don't really like the pitchers. Brett Anderson is a former Dodger. I'm not a big revenge narrative guy in baseball, but at the same time, you still got to kind of respect. He's a lefty, and he's going up against his old team. He's going to be in front of his new home crowd. We even have weather concerns. So this is just a game that I don't really like. I don't think I could see a stack on either side. But I could see some one-offs, Forsythe for tournaments, things like that. I could probably see. But anyway, you guys got anything to add, or should we move
on? I'm mostly staying away from the Cubs because of all the championship hype, unveiling the banner and the rings. It's been like a big fiasco up there. I mean, they've had so much going on. It's kind of taken it out of the players' some, you've noticed a little bit watching the games. Anderson, he got 26 for them last time in a start in Milwaukee. He was just one out shy of a quality start. But the Cubs have the bats to maybe squeeze out a couple runs. So if you do take him in a GPP, you have potential to get those bonus points on FanDuel.
Yeah, I think
at a cheap price.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see how highly owned either of these players will be, because we did just talk about a couple. We talked about the Pirates, the Twins, the Tigers, the Red Sox. So I am a little curious of what this ownership will be. I'm going to be paying very close attention to what the projected run total is in the morning. That's for sure. You guys want to move on?
Yeah, good to move on.
All right, we got Yu Darvish of the Texas Rangers visiting Ricky Nolasco of the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. About 70 degrees, 61% humidity as of now. Of course, you're going to check your weather as we get closer to the game. So Yu Darvish is a high K guy. 2016 he finished with 11.84 Ks per nine. That's extremely high. So far, his hard hit rate is about 50%. His soft hits rate, contact rate is only about 8.8%. It's usually about 30. So Something seems a little off. One thing I will say about him is his velocity is up. His velocity is up from 93.3 to 94.4. So he's throwing harder. His swing and miss rate is currently 8.2. His average is about 12.1. So I think that explains as to what happened in his first start. I just didn't seem to have his pitches. On the other side, Ricky Nolasco, he's a righty, not a real high K guy. He had, I think, 12 in 2017 through 2 starts. He's averaging 2.31 home run per 9 innings. That's kind of ridiculous, and he has really bad lefty splits. He's got, I think, a 1.42 whip versus a 1.2. He's really bad against lefties. So, Fuego, start us off here. What are we doing in this game?
I love Darvish in this spot. It's a short slate. If you're not playing all day, which most people aren't, there's no big prizes in that stuff. But for the early only, I love Darvish. I don't like any of the LA hitters except, I always like Trout, but he's the best pitcher on the slate. You can, on FanDuel at least, you can plug him in and still have a really killer Boston-Detroit stack or pretty much any other stack you want, even at his price of 10.4 on FanDuel. I think he's got the highest K potential on the slate, and I will have maybe a couple lineups if I'm rolling out a few with a couple of these other pitchers, but I'm probably loading him up with and then just mixing in my batter stacks. And I don't really have any. Nolasco's okay, but we talked yesterday. I don't think I'm going to go after the Texas bats here with him.
All right, Bill, what you got for us?
I'm all in on Darvish in the morning unless I see the sheets and they just scream another pitcher. I'm throwing his first game out against Cleveland, 75 degrees, beautiful day there in the launch pad of Texas. That was a rough outing, and it's not what he normally will do. He does have 36 Ks against the people on the roster now, including 13 of those against Trout. So I like his K upside. It's real easy with the way ownerships went so far as not to really sweat the pitcher's ownership. I've rolled out some higher priced guys and got them at low own. I don't expect that here, but the bats ownerships, they've just been crazy all over the place. The only bat that really worries me is Trout, but he worries me with everybody. So he's the one bat I do like for that side. As far as Texas, Napoli and Odor, they both just stand out for me for tomorrow. They would be the one or two side one against Nolasco.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I definitely like Darvish. He's the only high price pitcher on this slate. I think in cash games you have to go with him. In tournaments you can make a case for some of these other guys. Maybe, probably not going to come near the upside of Darvish. I think that's the problem. Is I think Darvish has the highest ceiling. So if he has just a regular typical Darvish game, it's still going to be significantly higher than these other guys on a good game. So I definitely like Darvish in cash games. I'm definitely going with him. I don't like too many Angels bats because of that. I think you have a point with Trout, but I think Calhoun is. I'd prefer to play a lefty against Darvish, just because the guy has such a weird windup and delivery. If I'm gonna pick a one-off against him, it would have to be a lefty for me. Somebody who has a fair chance to see the ball come out completely. On the Rangers side, I think Gallo's. Pretty much all the lefties are in play to me. I love Mazzara. Now that I think about it, this could be an interesting spot. I know it's a bad pitcher. And I still don't think too many people are going to target this game. I think people are really afraid of the Angel Stadium, and I don't blame them. It's a huge park. But Texas has some big power with Mazzara, Odor, Lucroy, Napoli, Gallo. These are guys that have some big power. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of people jump on the Red Sox-Pirates game, to see them jump on the Twins and Tigers. And I think, meanwhile, Texas, it's not the greatest run projection. It's about 4 right now. But it's still up there. It's better than 3.5. And they got some big bats. And Nolasco's a terrible pitcher. So I think Texas might be a little bit sneaky. I don't know. What do you guys think? You think they're going to be chalk or what?
I think the park actually favors the pitchers here. I mean,
right, yeah,
it was 25th ranked last year, and it was bottom half of the league in home runs. So I'm not looking for any big outings. So I think Darvish is extremely safe. I could see maybe a slight case for Nolasco, but I don't like taking Nolasco ever.
No,
I've taken him twice in my career.
Nolasco is terrible, and especially not against a Texas Rangers team that that has that much pop. I just to me, I would rather honestly, I'd rather play, and I don't like Eduardo, but I'd rather play him over Nolasco. I really don't like Nolasco. He struggles heavily against lefties, and some of the best hitters on the Rangers team are lefties. So I was talking about in regards to the people might stay away from the hitters because of the park. The pitchers, absolutely. Darvish is going to be popular. He's going to be chalk, no question. But he's going to be chalk for a reason. He's obviously a standout pitcher there. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you guys on Darvish, but Nolasco, not even in a tournament, I can't play that guy, man. Not even in this park, man. Not against the Rangers. I'm sure there's a team that maybe he could consider, but on this slate, I just don't see a world where I'm playing Nolasco. Unless maybe on DraftKings, if you think this is going to be a low-scoring game and you want to just play both pitchers in this one, maybe, depending on his price. But even on FanDuel, Nolasco is 7.3. I think that's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, I think he's way too high priced.
Yeah. Fuego, you got anything to add, or should we move on?
Let's move on to the late slate.
Let's do it. We're not at the main just yet. There's a 6:10 game. Maybe DraftKings will have it. It's probably on the all-day slate at least. So we got Miguel Gonzalez, the righty, visiting Josh Tomlin of the Cleveland Indians. Temperature about 57 degrees. Humidity about 63%. Let's see. So one thing we got, Miguel Gonzalez's velocity is down from 91.5 to 90. He's throwing a slider about 31% of the time. He has semi-K upside, not major upside, and he gives more home runs up to righties, actually. Meanwhile, Josh Tomlin finished 2016 with a 1.86 home run per 9 inning rate. That's horrible. His hard contact rate was about 33.9, and currently through one start, it's about 42.9. So this guy's getting rocked. Bill, you start us off this time. What are we doing in this game?
This game is all about the hitters for me. I absolutely love the Indians as a stack for all day, especially in DraftKings if you can get him in. And my favorite hitter is actually a rather cheap one, is Tyler Naquin. Ben got me turned on to the Indians last year. I had to root against them, though, in the World Series, but I love rostering their hitters. They always come through. Jose Ramirez is probably my favorite Indian. He hits from both sides, and he does it all. He's just a high-quality hitter. I probably won't touch any of the pitchers. Tomlin, possibly, if I'm looking for a cheaper option, just because I'm not a big believer in the White Sox bats, but they do have some pop with Abreu and Frazier. I'll probably mostly look for a mini stack in this one of some sorts.
Okay, Fuego, what you got for us?
So on DraftKings, on the early slate, this game is included, and I would definitely roll Tomlin out as my second pitcher. I wouldn't mind him going up against the White Sox bats. And as far as the batters are concerned, I completely agree. The Cleveland guys, I like Lindor the best, I think. I would load up, Lindor, Santana, Ramirez, and attack Gonzalez, his former Oriole, and I can tell you, you always remember when they get rocked. Now, he does have some good stuff from time to time, so it's not a foregone conclusion he's going to get rocked, but I definitely like some of these mini Cleveland sacks, or even a full 3-4, 5 guys even on DraftKings.
Yeah.
My problem with Lindor is it the price thing. I think he's a good play, but it's more of a price thing at 4K.
Right.
Yeah, he's probably one of the highest. He's 4.7 on DraftKings, so he's not at the tip top. It's not as high as, say, like a Mookie Betts at 4.5, for example. But he's definitely in play for me.
Yeah.
But you're right. His price is high, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, you certainly have to consider him. If you're doing a stack, I don't know if, it would be tough for me to pick a one-off from this game. I would like the stack, of course. E5 is interesting. Miguel Gonzalez has reverse splits. He actually gives up more home runs to righties than he does to lefties. And even Edwin himself, E5, he typically seems to hit right-handed batters better for some reason. There's a lot of guys like that. So I like E5 a lot. He stands out. But if you're doing a stack, it's tough to get away from Lindor, but as a one-off, I don't see why. Yeah, I agree with you. I think he's kind of high priced for that. On the White Sox side, it's funny because you guys are talking about Tomlin on DraftKings, and at first in my head, I'm like, did you not just hear the numbers? He's horrible. But then as you guys were talking about the White Sox bats, I'm like, oh, okay. So it's not so much a play on Tomlin as it is a play against the White Sox. And then it started to make a little more sense. So I can certainly see the merit in it for sure. Cleveland's not exactly a big hitter's park to begin with. The White Sox they have a couple guys that can ding it, but they also have a lot of guys that strike out. Todd Frazier, Abreu, these guys strike out with the best of them. Of course, on the flip side, I don't see a stack of the White Sox as something I would want, but I could see a couple one-offs from the White Sox, so maybe a stack from Cleveland, but only a couple one-offs from the White Sox. But either way, this game honestly, the game seems a little boring to me. What do you guys think?
Yeah, the only thing that really worries me with Miguel Gonzalez is the times that he succeeded last year, and I think he put up 45 or 50 at like a 6-9 price last year. It's when his slider's working.
Mm-hmm.
It's really time to time up here in Cleveland. It's been probably in the 60s, but it's been like a cool 60.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't look for the bats to be scorching hot.
Right.
But he does struggle on the road versus left-handers in his career with a 329 WOBA and a 426 slugging.
Mm-hmm.
So I would, if I do take some, I'll look for like an E5 with maybe a Naquin for a cheap bat, or maybe look for another one of their lefties like a Brantley or something of that sort.
Sure. Yeah, I can see that. You guys want to move on?
Yep.
All right, we got Matt Andriese of the Tampa Bay Rays visiting Luis Severino of the New York Yankees. Going to be about 60 degrees. 44% humidity, no real wind threats here. So Andriese's got decent K upside. He is susceptible to the home run ball, however. In 2016, he finished with a 1.2 home run per 9 inning rate. His hard contact rate was about 34.3%. His soft was only 16.6. So he seems to be kind of a strike him out or get rocked kind of dude. In 2016, he's off to a little bit of a rough start. His hard contact rate is 68.8% currently. Granted, he only had, I think, one start, but still, it's significantly high. Now, one thing I want to mention, in 2016, he threw his curveball about 10.6% of the time. So far, he's at about 31.8%. So for some reason, he's trying to throw that curveball more. And it didn't work for him too well in his first start, but it's still worth noting. He gives up more home runs to lefties, about 1.35 home run per 9 innings, and he also has a higher, he has a higher whip versus righties at 1.31. So he walks righties, he gives up home runs to lefties. He's playing a Yankee team that traditionally doesn't strike out as much, but they are a different Yankee team. On the other side, you got Severino, high K upside. He's also susceptible to the home run ball. In 2016, through 21 games and only 11 starts, he averaged 8.37 K per 9. However, he did give up 1.39 home runs per 9. So he's a couple of guys that both have K upside. However, they do give up significant home runs, and they're playing in Yankee Stadium, which is pretty friendly to the hitters. Fuego, start us off. What are we doing here?
Yeah, I think if I were to go either of these pitchers, it would be Severino. I think he's got a little bit more higher K potential. But I don't really love either of them. I do like the Yankee bats, I think, against Andriese. Depending on who's going to be in the starting lineup, of course. I like they have some of the higher WOBA differences, and just something about Andriese that I haven't, hasn't clicked for me. Ellsbury, lefty. I like Gardner if he's questionable, but if he's playing, I like him. So I definitely like the lefties, no doubt, versus Andriese for the Yankees.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I hate to keep agreeing here, but I really like Severino tomorrow. He's cheap. I mean, he's got a huge K upside here. I'm not on Andriese much. If you've watched any of their games, Derek Norris is their new catcher there, and there still seems to be some adjustments going, and maybe he might be calling that curveball a lot more. I'm not 100% sure, but I might have one or two bats like a Brad Miller for like a GPP, but I'm all about the Yankees tomorrow. I do like them. I like Severino a lot.
Yeah, no, I see. If I had to, I would prefer Severino. I'll give you that. Yankees are obviously favorited, and Tampa strikes out like nobody's business. I know Fuego played Pineda against them the other day, and that just goes to show you, if you have any kind of K upside, Tampa is a team that will give it to you. I don't like him as in I'm not gonna play him, but if I had to choose one of these pitchers, it would definitely be Severino, just because of the fact that I think he has more K upside matchup wise. My issues with Severino, though, is people just watched what Pineda did. And I think a lot of people kind of classify Severino. I'm calling him Severino and Pineda in a similar light. So they just watch this guy go out there and shut him down. People might be looking for a cheaper option to play at pitcher with Bumgarner on the slate, who we'll talk about later. And if they do, Severino's going to be. You're going to target the guys against the Rays. It's no secret they strike out the most. So I don't know if I would play him. Then again, I'm more of a cash guy in baseball. I'll admit that. So it's going to be hard for me to get off of Bumgarner. I'll admit that. But my issue here is Severino is very susceptible to these home run balls, and I'm a little concerned. For instance, against lefties, I mean, he walks more lefties. Now, he does give up more home runs to righties, but his whip regardless is 1.34. I'm a little concerned of how long he's going to stay in the game. With that said, I do like the Tampa Bay Rays a little bit for the bats, but I'm concerned that if Severino gets chased out of this game and then the Yankee bullpen comes in, it can kind of shut down the whole thing, the whole Rays offense in itself. So it's kind of weird. I'm not crazy about Severino, but I'm not crazy about the Rays bats either. I think a couple of these Rays can definitely, if they're going to do it, they're going to do it early. They're going to do it in their first 1 or 2 times up to bat. Otherwise, it could be tough. As far as Andriese, I don't like Andriese either, just because I feel like the Yankees don't really K much. This is not the right ballpark. I definitely think now. I think Gardner is probably not going to play. That's something worth noting. He had a nasty collision this morning with Ricky Weeks over at first base. I think for Andriese, Matt Holliday, Aaron Judge has been playing extremely well. If Torres gets a chance to play, I don't know how. It's tough because we don't know who's going to play. And there's got a lot of young guys, but I think the fact that they have so many young guys, I think it's keeping some of their ownership low because people just don't know who these guys are. They don't know who Greg Bird is. They never liked Chase Headley, and they probably think Ellsbury and Gardner are old, which they are. And Holiday, I don't think people didn't play him when he was on the Cardinals. I don't see why they would start playing him now. So I think that the bats here are certainly interesting. But I couldn't play either one of these pitchers.
Yep, you got it.
You guys ready to move on? Do you have anything to add?
Let's go.
Let's do it. We got Kevin Gausman of the Baltimore Orioles visiting Francisco Liriano, the lefty from the from the Toronto Blue Jays. Wait, this game is in a dome, correct? I hate when they do that. They should just tell me dome instead of giving me weather reports. Let's see. So Gausman, better known as Gas Can. He has high K upside, but he gives up a lot of home runs. 2016, 18.3% soft contact, 31.1% hard contact. In 2017, we see him with over 30% soft contact and 17.6% hard. So something's going on here. I would expect Toronto sees this guy a lot. And he gives up a lot of home runs to righties. Just to give you an idea, to lefties, his home run per 9 inning is .94. And against righties, it's 1.41. So he gives up a lot of home runs to righties. Liriano just got blown up. He was the chalk the other day. He was in everybody's cash games, and he got blown up. Fuego, what are we doing here?
Yeah, I would like to go to my boy Gausman, but I don't think I can do it. He has not pitched well his first 2 games out. 4.2 innings last time out, giving up 8 hits, 4 runs. The time before that, 5.1 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, 4 walks. So he's not clicking yet this year. So I would not. I don't think I'd be going there. I would possibly go back to Liriano. Especially on DraftKings where you need 2 pitchers. I know that's going against my Orioles, but they exploded this afternoon or this evening. I don't know if they're going to do that again tomorrow. And I'd be willing to take a chance there. I do like the Toronto bats against Gausman. They have the power, and like you said, he gives up the home runs. I'll defer to Bill on the Oriole bats.
Bill, what you got for us?
I'd be interested more to see what Toronto's ownership is after that egg they laid tonight against Anderson and the Brewers. I personally don't know if I'll have much Toronto just because they're keeping me from a big night. But I do look for Liriano to bounce back. I'm a little torn because I think there's some Baltimore bats that can do well, but I'm a huge believer in the bounce back, and for him to be the ace of staff and to get, one of the aces, I think he's still a high potential pitcher. I don't look for him to be a negative 11 again. I don't look for a huge outing. So I would say this this will probably hit the over, but I don't look for it to hit high in the over. Probably about 6, 7, 8 runs maybe, depending on what the over is.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're going to get ones or twos home runs, but I don't think you're going to have any big innings like you did tonight for Baltimore.
And just to note, he last game, September 28th of last year, he struck out 10 Orioles batters over 6 innings. So that's interesting to note.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's funny, as you were talking, Bill. Like as you were talking, I saw a completely different picture of this game open up in my mind. You're absolutely right. The Blue Jays were the chalk of the day today, and they let everybody down. Everybody. Not just that, but everybody failed to play the Orioles against Stephen Wright, and the Orioles went nuts. So I can completely see the Orioles. I'm talking about cookies. Orioles. I could see them really kind of grabbing all that ownership. They got so many powerful righty bats, and Liriano is, he's coming off a terrible game. So I think it'd be interesting. I wouldn't be surprised to see everybody hop on Baltimore and then Toronto actually go nuts and completely destroy Gausman. Gausman's fastball is flat. He throws hard, but he throws flat. That's his biggest problem. If a righty throws enough hard, flat fastballs to this team, they're going to start popping them out of the park. So to be honest with you, I think after this conversation, I really, really like the Blue Jays bats.
Yeah, I would lean the Blue Jays bats as well. Being back in Rogers Center, they're not going to want to come out and disappoint again. They're off to a 1-7 start, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Gausman, he's just terrible. I do lean them more over the Orioles. Okay. It'll be nice to see what the Twitter sphere has to say about ownership, because you can get a good feel of the chalk on there.
That's a good point. Should we move on?
Yep.
Okay, it looks like we've got Robert Gsellman of the New York Mets visiting Wei-Yin Chen, the lefty of the Miami Marlins. I believe they also play at a dome. Is that right? Somebody tweeted me that the other day. Apparently, they thought it was a little funny that I didn't know that. Anyway, we'll go right into the games. Gsellman in 2017 so far this year, 55.6% hard contact rate. I am a Mets fan, so I do analyze this team. And I'm a little bit concerned about Gsellman because last year when he was doing pretty well, I didn't really see the reasons why. Like, I looked at the numbers and I couldn't really figure out why he was doing so well. He doesn't throw particularly hard, not compared to like a Syndergaard or anything like that. But his numbers are pretty good. I'm a little worried that he's going to have a regression type season. He's in the spot for now because I think Matz is out, so he's going to take the most of it. But a lot of Met fans know this guy played well for us last year when we asked him to, and I'm a little concerned that maybe not all of that was really him, and some of it was just kind of variance and kind of luck. So I don't know for sure, but I am worried. On top of that, the Marlins bats, they're starting to heat up a little bit. Stanton hit 2 donks today. Before that, in the game before, Ozuna hit 2 donks. As far as Wei-Yin Chen, he's got decent K upside, and his hard contact in 2017 is down. I think it's about 21%. It's early, but in 2016 it was about 35.1. So he's doing something a little bit better. His velocity is actually his velocity is not up. He's doing something different, and it's working, and the Mets struggle against lefties. Bill, what are we doing here?
This is the game that I think I want my bats from. I'm a huge believer in the Mets right now. They're hot. Probably the hottest hitter, most will probably say Cespedes, but I think it's Cabrera. Mm-hmm. He's 5 for 5 with hitters in scoring position, where last year he had an 0 for 34 or 0 for 39 streak. Mm-hmm. So he's seeing the ball well. He's relaxed at the plate, and I don't know much about either of these pitchers, but the little I do know, I don't think either of them has huge upside. There is one low on bat that if he does get the start for the Mets the Marlins behind the plate over Real Muto, I think Ellis has high potential there. He seems to fare well against ground ball pitchers. Like I said, I like the Mets stack more. I like Cabrera. I like Cespedes. What was the other one I wrote here? And Neil Walker. Mm. I like the 1s and 2s from the Marlins, Ozuna, Yelich. Those are an Ellis and, of course, Stanton.
Okay. Fuego, you got anything to add?
My only concern is that Chen faced the Mets earlier last week, and struck out 5 in 6 innings, gave up 7 hits, but only 1 earned run. And he scored 40 FanDuel points. That would be my concern. They are hot, and I like Cespedes, but I would possibly go to Chen here, depending what. This is another slate that I don't love the pitchers. We got Bumgarner we'll talk about, who's expensive. Besides him, there's no other pitchers I love on this slate. So if I'm mixing it up, I would maybe go Chen here because I don't think a lot of other people will, because of the Mets being hot.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I'm a Met fan. I love my Mets. I'm not big on them in this situation here. I don't like them against lefties. The only Met that I trust against lefties is Wilmer Flores. Although I will give you credit, Bill, as Drubal doesn't strike out all that often, so I don't mind him at all in a lot of situations. He's an actual switch hitter. Like Neil Walker, for instance. If you look at his splits, he's significantly better. He has significantly higher ISO against righties. So even him, even though he's technically a switch hitter, he doesn't hit lefties all that well. I do like Wilmer. I'm assuming he's going to play probably for Duda or something like that. So I'm expecting. I always like to play Wilmer against lefties. I think Chen is certainly hittable. The Mets strike out a lot, and they still haven't proved to me that they've learned how to hit lefty bats. Even their righties, like Cespedes, he's actually got reverse plays. He's a better hitter against righties. And yeah, I mean, other than that, look at their power hitters: Jay Bruce, Curtis Granderson. They're all lefties. So even Conforto. So. I don't have too much confidence in my Mets. And against Giseleman, I really like the Marlins here. I got like Yelich. Even guys like D. Gordon, I think, is interesting. I don't see Giseleman striking out too many of these guys. So I love Stanton again. I love Ozuna, all the big power guys. And it's a bigger ballpark. So the Mets are going from playing in Philly to now going and playing in Miami. I think it's going to be a whole different atmosphere. And like you said, Fuego, Chen did a pretty good job against the Mets last time out. So, listen, am I going to play Chen? No, that's only because I play mostly cash games in baseball and because I love Bumgarner. He's on the slate today. But if I was trying to get a little funky or on DraftKings where I have to pick two, Chen would, unfortunately, because I don't like the guy really, unfortunately, he would have to be a strong option for me for sure. You guys got anything to add or should we move on?
My problem with Chen is just like with Pineda, the Rays saw him the first time, got him out in less than, 3 or 4 innings. Put a couple runs on the board, and they saw him again the second time he made adjustments. I look for the Mets, since they're hot right now, they're seeing the ball well, to make adjustments on Chen here.
Yeah, no, I can certainly see the merit. I certainly understand it. I just don't think that I have seen these Mets do it too many times where you think they're getting hot. All of a sudden, they go to a bigger ballpark, and you throw a lefty in the mix, and all of a sudden, they're striking out left and right. Because the Mets, either they're red hot and they're hitting home runs, or they're striking out left and right. They're not really big, small ball type players. So, yeah, I see merit on both sides. You guys want to move on?
Yeah.
We're good to move on.
All right, Jimmy Nelson of the Brewers visiting Bronson Arroyo of the Reds. This has got to be one of the chalkier games on the slate. These are two pretty bad pitchers overall. Jimmy Nelson had a rough 2016. He really struggles against lefties. Bronson Arroyo, it's just funny the fact that he's been saying his name. I think his fastball this year is about 83.1 miles an hour. So he's not exactly bringing the heat anymore at his age. 30% of the time he throws a slider. He's got horrible splits against lefties also. Fuego, we're going back to you. What are we doing with this game?
Sorry, I was a little distracted. I think I'm going to miss winning the after hours by one player at the wrong small forward.
Oh, man.
Unless something drastically changes, that's going to hurt. But anyway, which game are we talking about? Oh, yeah. I love the Milwaukee Bats in this game. Oh, I love them all. They're low priced on FanDuel. They haven't been super hot or anything, so I think that may drive away some ownership. Though I love Braun in this spot. I love. I think VR maybe could bounce back a little, though I'm not sold on him just yet. I like Travis Shaw batting fourth, lefty versus Arroyo. So I really like the Milwaukee Bats in this spot, and I'm not too hot on. I'm not too hot on either pitcher. I could even play some of the Cincinnati Bats on that side for sure. It could even do a game stack, some Cincinnati Bats on one side and Milwaukee Bats on the other. But I really like the Milwaukee bat.
Okay. Bill, what you got for us?
Yeah, I'm all about getting a little bit of exposure to this game. I might have a couple mini stacks in the GPP with them. My favorite play, he's not a big hitter, is Billy Hamilton. It's mostly his stolen base potential. He's got 8 stolen bases in 10 attempts, and he's even showing potential for walks. And then with getting 4 walks in his 22 at bats or 26 at bats with him, so anytime he gets on base, he's going to be looking to run here against Nelson. So I like the upside there for him. Votto's struggled a little bit here and there beginning, but I do like him some. The only 2 bats I like for the Brewers is Braun and then Arcia for shortstop.
Okay.
He's a cheap play.
Yeah, no, I can see it. I like pretty much all the bats in this game. Obviously, I don't like the pitchers, of course. I think it's interesting though. I think I think a lot of people are gonna look to this game for runs. It's no secret that both of these teams have bad bullpens. They have bad starting pitching, and they have some power hitters. So it's gonna be interesting to try to differentiate yourself. I'm a little concerned with the Brewers. Obviously, the top 4 are gonna be the prime guys people stack. But maybe get a little maybe get a little bit different in tournaments. Maybe go for the bottom of the order. Same thing can be said with the Reds. I think Schebler and Kosar are interesting at the 6-7 spot. I think Hamilton is certainly always in play just because of his stolen base upside. But yeah, I mean, there's not much else to say. Take the bats in this game. Just try to get a gauge tomorrow and find out how chalky you think these guys are going to be. There are other options. The Baltimore Orioles, I would imagine, are going to be somewhat of a chalky option. So you got some decisions to make, but this is definitely a game where you want to talk about 2 bad pitchers in a very hitter-friendly ballpark. And the weather, I didn't even talk about the weather. 73 degrees, 44% humidity. It's going to be tough for me to stay away from these bats, especially in cash games. You guys have anything to add, or should we move on?
Let's not forget, Arroyo hasn't pitched since 2014.
Good point.
For a full, and he's been off for a while.
Good point.
So I don't look for much from him at all.
No, we know that bullpen behind him is horrid. So because he's probably should be one of them. So the fact that he's a starter, that kind of tells you how bad the bullpen is. So, all right, let's move on. Jesse Hahn, the righty of the Oakland A's, visiting Jason Vargas, the lefty of the Kansas City Royals. About 77 degrees, humidity about 56%. We know this is a big pitcher's ballpark. Jesse Hahn's velocity is way up. It was 93.9 last year. It's up to 95.2. Maybe he's on the juice. I don't know, but he's definitely throwing a lot harder. Against righties, only a .23 home run per 9 innings, but against lefties, 1.18. He has severe splits. Seems to be very dominant against righties and struggles severely against lefties. As far as Vargas, he's not really a power, he doesn't really throw a hard fastball, so he switches his speeds a lot. And he struggles. We've seen him shut teams down at times with those speed changes, but we've seen him get blown up as well. Bill, we're going to start with you. What are we doing here in this game?
My favorite home run play of the slate is in this game.
Okay, who is it?
I really like Moose, Mike Moustakas.
Okay.
On gives it up to the left-handers like you just said, and he's throwing it harder, and I like for him to get some solid contact here. He seems like he's due for one. It's been a few minutes, and every time I've seen to use him this year, he seems to have hit a home run. So I really like his potential here. I probably won't touch either pitcher. Maybe if I was playing some DK, I might look at Vargas, but I'm not really huge on this game overall. There's not a lot from it I really care for. Oakland bats are hit or miss. Kansas City isn't one that's going to go out and give you 10 runs nightly. They're going to nickel and dime you with singles, doubles, and a home run here or there. So I'll probably limit my exposure to this game as of right now.
Okay, Fuego, what you got?
Yeah, so I also like Moustakas, but I also like Moss, and I also like Hosmer. I think they all have potential, the lefties versus the righty Hahn. I don't like any of the Oakland bats. I don't think upon initial glance. But the Kansas City bats for sure. Even I'll go to Perez at catcher, even though he's a righty. I like the Kansas City bats there. I think they have a 4.5 implied run total, which is just under the Yankees at 4.6 and the Brewers at 4.8. So they're actually the third highest on the slate I'm seeing. So I don't mind the Kansas City bets at all. And there's other bets that I target besides Oakland.
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, like after looking at this whole slate and the rumble chart, first of all, Bill, where did you go? Oh, I see your desk, and then I see like your neck down.
I had to plug in my tablet. It started going. I didn't charge it today.
I see him.
You're still a little. It's like from your chin and down. I mean, it's cool. It doesn't really matter.
Okay.
We can still hear you. But
All right.
anyway, you guys make interesting points. I think that I might, in tournaments specifically, I might try to stack this game. Probably more so on the Royal side, of course. I do agree with you guys on that. I like Hosmer. You make a great point with Moose for sure. But I'll probably stay away from the righties. But as far as the Oakland team against Vargas, this guy does not throw hard. And Oakland has some power. I know it's not the ideal ballpark, but the run totals are high. And yeah, it might be small ball, but that kind of stuff can add up. I like Marcus Semien, especially if he leads off. Healy, they have a lot of right-handed bats. Raji Davis can steal some bases. There's a lot of sneaky guys. Even if Fegley plays as a righty, I think he's interesting. Even Adam Rosales, we saw him hit a couple home runs for the Padres last year. He's definitely in play. So I think if you want to get different on a tournament slate, I think you could look to this game because their projected run totals are similar to some of those other games, but you know nobody's going to be touching these guys. I mean, they're just not, even though you have two unproven pitchers in it. Anyway, that's just my two cents.
Chris Davis is always in play for me.
Yes, always has a double dog. I prefer him to take him against righties, but still, he got double dog upside against anybody. Let's be real. It's Chris Davis, dude could crush against anyone. You guys want to add anything before we move on?
If I had to take an ace bet, it'd be Ryan Healy for there.
Yeah, I
like his upside at his price.
I think he'll be super low on too.
Oh yeah, he's one of those you'll probably get at sub 2% potentially.
Yeah, I agree. Let's move on. We got John Gray of the Colorado Rockies, the team that had just burnt everybody. I know Matt Amon, our boy, he took a little bit of a hit. I know he's been taking some criticism about writing up the Rockies, talking about the Rockies. Listen, man, it's Coors. You always want to get a piece. The Rockies started off cold, and now we got Coors out of their element. So I think people are finally going to back off. And I don't think this is a situation where they're going to wake up. Not against Mad Bum. In cash games, he's just it's. I kind of like it when the slate just kind of does a pitcher for you to lock in on cash games. I'll be locking in Mad Bum for sure in cash. In tournaments, if you want to pivot elsewhere, do it at your own risk. But it's going to be hard for me to get away from Mad Bum overall. There's not much to say about the guy. He's just phenomenal. He's back home in his great pitcher's ballpark. Chilly weather, 54 degrees, 69% humidity. And the Rockies have been ice cold, striking out against everyone. Fuego, what are we doing here?
Yeah, these are my two favorite pitchers on the slate, on the main slate. Definitely like Bumgarner. I'm not sure what there's not to like at home versus a chilly, cold Colorado team. No pun intended. So I love Bumgarner, but I like Gray too. On DraftKings, they're both expensive. So you would have to pick one. On FanDuel, Gray is 7,800 compared to Bumgarner is 11.3. So I could see playing Gray in some lineups, and then I could see playing Bumgarner in other lineups. I don't like any hitters here, I don't think. If I'm reading this correctly, and I think I am, the Rockies have a 2.9 run implied total, and the Giants have a 3.7. So they're the two lowest by far on the main slate, with the Rockies barely even projected to get 3 runs. So fire up these pitchers definitely, and I would stay away from the hitters.
Okay, Bill, what you got?
There's two ways, in my opinion, to attack this game. Full head on with Bumgarner. The Rockies, they're the 7th highest K team. The Park just gives up just mostly doubles, sometimes triples, but rarely home runs. I don't like Gray at all just because the Giants don't really strike out a lot, and he needs the case to really push that total or that score up to try to keep him matched with Bumgarner as a total, but not so much value. The hitters, I'm not touching the hitters. I don't really want to, unless you want to take the old method of stacking against the chalk pitcher. In that case, I could see a case for taking a couple Rockies. But they're struggling right now, so I'm not really too high on that.
Yeah, for
right.
sure.
I don't mind Colorado on the road normally, but not against Bumgarner in a pitcher's park. I honestly, so on my model on Fantasy Labs, it makes its colors and greens for good and red for bad. All the Rockies hitters are just red, below 20 ranked. Like the ratings are just ugh. So I don't always agree with the models, but in this case, I do. I would fire up Bumgarner for sure.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. And Gray, I think, is interesting from a DraftKings perspective, right? Like on FanDuel, I just don't see a reason to play him. But again, I'm a cash game player for baseball. I do play some tournaments, but I most of my money goes into cash, and that's where most of my effort goes. So I don't see a way off Mad Bum in FanDuel. But on DraftKings, I think John Gray, just given the scenario and the ballpark, and the fact that there's not really a lot of other pitchers to go to, I think Fuego's onto something with John Gray as like maybe a starting pitcher too. I'm sure he's a little more expensive on DraftKings because he's more valuable there. On a slate with Mad Bum on FanDuel, it doesn't matter what he's priced. Mad Bum is pitching, but on DraftKings where you have to pick two, the price matters. It matters a lot more. So I wouldn't be surprised to see an elevated price on DraftKings. But yeah, I don't like the hitters in this game. There's no reason to get cute. The slate's big enough. There's enough higher projected run totals. I don't see a reason to get cute and try to narrow this game down. Even if Mad Bum gets blown up, I don't want to be on the Rockies guys. They're playing horrible, like you guys said. They look awful. They couldn't get it done at Coors. I don't see them getting it done against one of the best lefties in the league. They struggle against lefties as it is. But yeah, so I'm with you guys. You guys ready for the game?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Bill. So you're first time on the pod, so we're going to give you the first pick. It's going to be you, Fuego, then me. Go ahead. Dong Watch, who's going to be your number one pick?
I told you guys earlier, it's Moose.
Okay.
Moose Dawkins, he's doing it.
Moose.
Like it.
All right, Fuego, who you got?
I'm going back to Miguel Cabrera.
Okay. Big Miggy. And now I got to pick two here. All right. I think I'm going to go. Now I got to really look over this thing. I think I'm gonna go back to those Toronto guys we were just talking about, and I know Donaldson was super high on. I'm gonna go with Donaldson. I'm gonna say he kind of throws one in everybody's face and he hits a bomb today. And then for my second pick, I'm gonna go with Hosmer. Yep, Hosmer. All right, so back to Fuego, and then Bill, you're gonna get two after that.
I am going to take another guy from Kansas City.
Oh, interesting.
I am going with Brandon Moss.
Okay. Oh, wow. One of these guys better hit a home run. We just took three of their top home run hitters. One of these guys better go deep. All right, Bill, you got two picks coming.
My first one, I'm going to go with Joey Votto.
Oh, nice.
Nelson's terrible. I saw lefties torch him time after time. I look for that to happen again. And I'm going to go with E5 strictly because I know he's ready to make that home appearance. He's not hit one out yet at Progressive.
That's a good point. Fuego, who you got?
I'm going to go with all right, ready for this one? Travis Shaw.
Ah, okay. I like that. Shaw. Okay. And I think for my last pick, I think I am going to go with Odor. I'm going to go with Odor against Nolasco. It's not an ideal park, but I really think against Nolasco, I think he gets the job done. Anyways, hey, Bill, it was a pleasure having you on. Fuego, it's a pleasure as always. Appreciate you guys watching on the WiseTake DFS podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit that like button for us. Really appreciate it. It means a lot. If you're listening on Podbean, give us a follow. If you're listening on iTunes, subscribe to the channel. Leave us some more feedback. We love the feedback. We love the reviews, good or bad. We read every one of them, and we try to cater the show for you guys. Listen, I can't say it enough how important it is to do your research. And if you're somebody who maybe doesn't have the time to do all the research, or you don't know where to start, the cheat sheets provided by Daily Roto Sharks are just absolutely essential. They added some new stuff on there even recently. They're giving it for free for another week. This is your last chance to try to make up some money. You have a chance to use these things for free. Show yourselves that you can win money with these things, and then you'll have the money to be able to afford the subscription for the rest of the year. So definitely hop on that at Daily Roto Sharks.
Hashtag Sheet Squad.
Hashtag Sheet Squad. That's right. Fuego, one more time. What is it?
Hashtag Sheet Squad.
And Bill, give me one real quick. Hashtag.
Hashtag Sheet Squad.
There we go. If you have success using the Sheet Squads, do us a favor. Tweet it, Instagram it, Snapchat it, whatever you do. And don't forget to put that hashtag Sheet Squad. We really appreciate it. Also, be ready. We're doing a special weekend edition. We announced it yesterday, but we're going to say it one more time with Fuego Steve and one of his buddies down from the live final for FanDuel in the NBA. It's winning 247. We're going to have him on there. It's going to be recorded Friday night and released to you guys. We're going to have Fuego on there with us, and we're going to break down, talk about some interesting strategy as far as DFS goes in playoffs. Does it change? Talk about some of the players maybe that we like, things like that. So it should be a lot of fun. So we got a lot of exciting things coming. Anyways, for Bill, for Fuego, for myself, thank you. And as always, good luck.
Peace.